Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and today we are going to be going over the 10 cheapest supercars that you can buy. What classifies as a supercar, you may be asking? Well, to me, it's just a car that looks super. That's literally it. There's no sort of like correct way to put it, in my opinion. I just think that these cars are all supercars. So if one of these cars you don't think is a supercar, then comment down below, let me know why you don't think it's a supercar, and we can talk about it, man. We can discuss it before you leave a hate comment. All right, so let's just have a little bit of a discussion. Obviously these cars are still expensive because they're still supercars, but they are the cheapest ones that money can buy. They're actually worth it. And yeah, I thought it would be fun, something different from my usual videos. I usually just do like under $10,000. It's gonna be a big difference. These are probably like around the $40,000 mark, but I hope you guys enjoy nonetheless, and let's get right into the video. All right, so number 10 is the Lotus Exige S. Exige, I don't know how you pronounce that thing, but it comes with a 3.5 liter supercharged V6 that makes 375 horsepower, and it was rear wheel drive. Now these cars are like the Miata of the supercar world, right? Like 375 horsepower does not sound like a supercar number, and it's not. 375 horsepower by no means is supercar worthy, in my opinion. But the car is so light, it's rear wheel drive, it's got really good aerodynamics, it is built to be a track weapon, and due to all that stuff, it makes it a track weapon. Sure, it's not the fastest in a straight line, but it's the fastest around corners. It is absolutely amazing. And on top of that, it's one of the cheapest cars of today. You can find a Lotus Exige S for as low as like $20,000, which yes, is a lot for us, but in the whole supercar world, that is nothing. That is a fraction of the price that some people are paying for theirs. So I think it's a great deal. I also think the looks are amazing, and it's just a beautiful car. Number 9 is the newest Acura NSX. Yes, I know everybody hates it. It's a disappointment in the JDM world, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad car. It comes with a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6 that makes a whopping 600 horsepower, and it was all-wheel drive. Now, here's the deal. The Nissan GT-R R35, obviously you know what that is. Everybody knows what that is. It's one of the most popular sports cars of the freaking 2010s, easily. It had quite literally the exact same thing. It had a 3.8 liter twin turbo V6 that made 600 horsepower, and it was all-wheel drive. They're pretty much the exact same car, but these ones get like no love compared to the other ones. Now, I'm pretty sure these cars only have 2 seats as compared to like the GT-R's 4 seats, so it's not as good as like a daily, but it's a supercar. You're not paying for a daily anyway. And these cars are a little bit cheaper than the GT-R anyway. You can find an Acura NSX for as low as $40,000, and that's really good. There are some new cars like freaking Priuses and Civics nowadays that are going for $40K. So if you spend $40K on an NSX instead of one of those, you get 600 horsepower, all-wheel drive, 6.5 or 3.5 liter twin turbo V6. I think it's worth it. Number 8 is the Chevy Corvette C7, the generation before the C8, obviously. And there's obviously a debate to be had here as if this car is either a sports car or a supercar. But in my opinion, it's a freaking supercar, man. It comes with a 6.2 liter V8 that makes 455 horsepower, and it was rear wheel drive. Now, this is the base model that we're talking about. But if you want to cough up a little bit of extra money, you can get the Z06 and get up to 600 horsepower, which is obviously well worth the money. But the base model still has 455 horsepower, and that's still enough. Okay, that's still enough. Okay. Also, these cars can be found for right around the same amount as the NSX, $40,000. Yes, it has a lot less horsepower, but it's also rear wheel drive, which is a lot more fun. In my opinion, it looks a lot better. It has an LS in it, so it might have an LT. Actually, I'm not sure about that, so don't quote me on that. But it has a Chevy motor that you can tune to make a lot of horsepower out of. It's just a beautiful car. I think it's one step higher than the NSX. No, it's not as fast as the NSX on paper, but it is, if you're a good driver, it can be faster. Number 7 is the Porsche 911 Turbo 996, or Porsche 911 Turbo, whatever you want to call it, baby. This is probably the ugliest version of the 911 in people's eyes, but to me, I actually don't think that at all. I actually like the looks of this one a lot. But it comes with a 3.6 liter turbocharged H6 or flat 6 that makes 415 horsepower, and it is rear wheel drive. And you can find these freaking things. This is by far one of the best like budget cars on this list for $20,000, man. All right, I know it sounds insane. A 911 turbo for $20,000. Well, yeah, you can find it because for some, like I said before, people don't like this generation of 911s for some reason. I don't get it. I love this generation of 911. I think it looks sick, but people don't. And so you can pick these up and for dirt cheap. And yes, on paper, this car does not have as much horsepower as a lot of the other cars on this list, 415. But if you know anything about Porsche, it's that they are really good at handling. They don't really care as much about their horsepower as they do about their handling, and this car handles just as well as any other 911. Number 6 is the McLaren MP4-12C. This puppy was a freaking hit when it came out with the youth, at least for me. I freaking loved this thing when it first came out. I remember I had a Gran Turismo 6. In Gran Turismo 6, I had one that was insanely good at drag racing, and I would beat everybody in it. It was awesome. But anyway, the car comes with a 3.8-liter twin turbocharged V8 that makes 616 horsepower, and it was rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Now, this is actually the highest horsepower number on this list, but that does not mean that it is the Number 5 is the Nissan GT-R R35. You knew it was coming, okay? Everybody knew it was going to be here. It's a freaking budget supercar of budget supercars, okay? The car comes with a 3.8-liter twin turbocharged V6 that makes 600 horsepower, and it is all-wheel drive, of course. And like I said before, it's exactly the same as the NSX in terms of like performance-wise. But it's just the GT-R, man. Like you can't not like the R35 GT-R. On top of that, you can find this car for as low as like $50,000 because literally everybody buys one of these things right now. Everybody wants a GT-R, and so there's a bunch out there. So people are selling them for cheap, which is good for us, I guess. But they're amazing. They have huge aftermarket support. You can make these things go up to like 2,500 horsepower. It's insane. These cars also handle extremely well. They look really good, in my opinion, at least. And I think they are a really good, successor for the GT-R line. Personally, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's not a GT-R. To me, I think it is. Like, it looks like a GT-R, you know what I mean? Coming in at number 4 is the first generation Lamborghini Gallardo. This freaking thing, man, it has the ugliest taillights, but the rest of the car is pretty cool. Everybody hates the Gallardo, okay? Everybody thinks it's like the ugly duckling of the Lambo line. I don't. The thing comes with a 5.2-liter V10 that makes 543 horsepower, and it was rear-wheel drive. Now, just due to the fact that it's a Lamborghini alone, you're not going to find this thing for as cheap as like the GT-R. Probably you're only going to be able to find it as low as like $80,000, which does make this one of the more expensive ones on this list. But there are tons of them out there that have been in accidents. And I know it's going to sound crazy, but if you picked up a crashed Lamborghini Gallardo for like, you can pick it up for like 20 grand, bro. Okay, you can pick it up for like 20 grand, fix it, and then sell it for profit, buddy. And you get a Gallardo. Yes, the taillights don't look great. They look a little weird, I will admit, but it's not an ugly car by any means. Is it one of the bottom tier Lambos? Yeah, but it's not an ugly Lambo, and it's not an ugly car, I mean, and it still puts out what it needs to do in terms of performance. I think it's a great car, and it's a Lamborghini for $80,000, man. Third place, bronze medal, it is the Dodge Viper GTS, the like 1990, late 90s to early 2000s model. And this freaking thing is sick. It comes with an 8-liter V10 that makes 460 horsepower back in the early 2000s. That's pretty damn good. And it was rear-wheel drive. Now, due to that combo of massive V10 in the front and rear-wheel drive drivetrain in the back, it calls for a little bit of, oversteer problems. And people tend to crash these things a lot, but that's okay because there's a bunch of crashed ones out there that you can pick up now and you can fix it if you have the knowledge, okay? I'm just putting it out there. I'm not, recommending that you go buy a crashed supercar and try fixing it, but I'm just saying that you can. Now, if you don't want to buy it crashed, that makes sense. You can find these things for as low as $60,000. That's like right in the middle for this list. It's not terrible, but it's not great. And it's just a Viper, dude. It's like, personally, it's my favorite generation of Viper. I think it looks the best. It's coolest. If you get it with the blue and white stripes, you are just the smartest man alive. I love it. And it comes with a freaking 8-liter V10, man. Like, how could you not like that? Second place is the Ferrari 360. I know that there's a bunch of different versions of this car, like the 360 Challenge or 360 Tridale or whatever, but just the 360 is what we're talking about here. And it comes with a 3.6-liter V8 that makes 400 horsepower, and it was rear-wheel drive. Now, that is not a great combination at all. We've seen cars on this list that have better motors, better horsepower numbers. They're all-wheel drive. They're just a better car all around. But when you buy a Ferrari 360, you're not buying it for the performance, really. You're buying it for just the status symbol. You have a Ferrari, like it's the freaking Ferrari, and you can find these cars for as low as $70,000, and that's pretty good. I would say it could be a lot better. Like, I would rather, if I had like 70 grand to spend on a car, I would rather be buying this thing for like, I would say 50,000, but it does make sense. It's a Ferrari. They do look really good. Like, personally, I think I love them a lot. Oh god, they're such good looking cars, and they make good horsepower. Like, back when this car was made, 400 horsepower in a mid-engine rear, or is it? Yeah, it's mid-engine V8 that's rear-wheel drive. That's a sick combination. But first place, I feel like you guys knew it was coming. Everybody says this is the best budget supercar out there, and they're not lying. It is the first generation Audi R8. Listen, buddy, the first gen Audi R8 is just immaculate. It's perfect in every way. It comes with a 5.2 liter V10 that makes 560 horsepower, and it was all-wheel drive. Now, that is obviously a very good combo right off the bat. A V10 that makes 560 horsepower and it's all-wheel drive. Also, these cars are very light compared to the rest of the cars on this list. You ever look at an Audi R8? They're tiny little cars, okay? And they do cost like kind of in the middle, but it costs around like 70K. You can find it as low as $70,000. But this is like a 2010 car, okay? This is a new supercar that's all-wheel drive with 560 horsepower, and you're only having to pay 70 grand. I think that's a great deal. Now, it is not the best handling. It's not the best in terms of top speed, but it's the best at everything combined, if that makes any sense. There's so many videos out there of people that drive Audi R8s saying that they're the best daily driver supercar out there. Why do they say that? Because it does everything good, but nothing bad. And that's amazing. Audi just perfected the scenario here. They weren't trying to build a hypercar. They weren't trying to build something that was like undrivably fast and just a status symbol. They were just trying to build a high-end supercar that you could drive to work and back on time, and I think they nailed it. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I know it's a little bit different from our usual like budget car videos because it's not, you know, stuff that we can actually afford, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Maybe it'll give you some motivation to work hard and achieve your dreams so that you can afford one of these supercars one day, because they're not that far out of reach, man. They're not that far out of reach. Like $40,000? Come on, man. We can make 40. There's so many people out there make 40 grand a year. Okay, we can do that. Come on. I know you can. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Das Vidania. Have a nice night.